All right, physical science, we've almost made it. We're in week 18. We've got one more week to go. So Mr. England and I figured we'd do something to celebrate. So it's not quite just pure celebration. We've got a little bit of mole calculations in here, but we're going to make a batch of chocolate chip cookies. So my plan, at least, is to go through some of these calculations with you and have you work on them towards the end of this week. And there's some pre-lab questions to submit in Canvas. And then I'm going to be baking them on Monday and Tuesday, that first Zoom session of the week with my first and second period classes. So I plan to do maybe a half batch in each class so that I don't end up with a ton of cookies. Um, but I will be baking them during the Zoom session and then talking about some new. I think we're going to cover a little bit of acid and base material to wrap up with. So, but while we're talking, I'll be mixing ingredients and then putting cookies in and out of the oven. So that's the plan. Hopefully, if you guys want to join me, I know some of you, if you're in Mr. England's class, we're baking bread at the end of the quarter. And so if you kind of want to do the same thing, get all your ingredients prepped, flour, baking soda, salt, butter, sugar, brown sugar, eggs, vanilla, and chocolate chips. If you get all those ready to go, like this weekend, you can bake cookies with us next week. So um, let's go for it. I just want to go through a couple calculations with you. So this worksheet you'll see on that Canvas activity, and it lists out some common, baking ingredients. Not all these we're going to use. You don't need cinnamon. You don't need cream of tartar. You don't need a lot of this stuff. The ingredients are actually listed on the second page for the recipe. So, but it's going to be your job. Notice, like, I'll work flour with you. Notice that everything's given in moles here. So 2.66 moles of flour. We need to convert that to something useful that we can measure out. So this is a little conversion practice. So 2.66 moles of flour, I need to know how much 1 mole of flour weighs. So remember, a mole is a quantity. So if I have a bunch of flour molecules and I want to know, what's the mass of a whole bunch of them, or 1 mole of them, I can go calculate its molar mass. So if I go find flour, see if I can find it alphabetical order. So now this is a simplified chemical formula, but we're going to go with C4H8O4. So to find its molar mass, right, I'm going to add all those atoms up. Okay, the masses from the periodic table. So, you look at the periodic table and you remember that where you see on there, carbon has a mass of 12 units and there are 4 carbons. I go look up hydrogen, right? Hydrogen's the lightest element, 1.0. I'm rounding to the tenths. There's 8 of them. And oxygen has a mass of 16 and 4. So I simplify. I can use my calculator, speed things up. 48 plus 8 plus 16 times 4 is 64. All right, I added it, multiplied, added it. I got 120 grams per mole. So that's the mass. 120 grams, that's the mass of 1 mole of flour. So how much does the recipe require? The recipe requires 2.66 moles of flour. So if I have 2.66 moles of flour, and here's the nice part, I multiply by 120 grams per mole, right? That's grams per 1 mole, but I need 2.66, so I'm just going to multiply those two numbers. The mole units cancel, and I end up with 319.2 grams of flour needed. Now, if you have a little kitchen scale, right, this is going to be, I don't know, fairly easy. You could actually, a lot of bakers, they'll use a scale to mass their ingredients rather than measuring cups and measuring spoons and all that. But if you don't have a scale, then we need to go one step further. And this is probably not a bad practice anyway. So let's just check out what we can find on this conversion sheet. And you go find flour. And it says 1 cup of flour, right? 1 cup of flour weighs 141.95 grams. I'll go write that down. 141.95 grams is equal to 1 cup of flour. So you can obviously tell I've got more than a cup, right? Or I need more than a cup. 319 is much larger than 141. So you just take 319 divided by 141.95. And if you care about the units, it turns out by dividing these, 3.19 or 319.2 divided by 141.95, I got 2.24 or 2.2 if I round it. So that's 2.25 cups, or, right, most recipes would say 2 1/4. So you're going to have to, adjust to fractions. And if it's not quite exactly, this time it came out nicely, like perfectly on 2 1/4, just go to the nearest fractional unit. And that tells you how much flour. Now you only have to do that, like, I don't know, is it 9 ingredients? Yeah, 9 ingredients. So, you could start converting now. There is a little pre-lab assignment I'm putting together. I can show you it. Sorry, let me get to my physical science page. So if you're in B cohort and you're looking at, what you're supposed to be doing at the end of this week, like on Wednesday, you can go ahead and jump into this cookie lab instructions and pre-lab. I'll have it there for you. Read through the instructions, but there are a few questions. So in that pre-lab assignment, the recipe is there and all those conversion factors. But down below it, there are some questions for you to answer. So just multiple choice questions. What's the chemical formula for vanilla? How do you find molar mass? And then some practice converting. So here, converting 0.062 moles of vanilla into grams. And then converting grams into teaspoons. So you could read through these questions, answer them, do this. This is a week 18 assignment, but then get all your stuff ready and we'll bake cookies on week 19. So I don't know if Mr. England's planning to do exactly the same thing, but I think that's how I'm going to run it in my class. So, have all your stuff ready to go. I'm going to bake during Zoom. It should be a lot of fun. And then, even if you don't want to eat a bunch of cookies, it'll be fun to give them away, or your parents will appreciate them. And anyways, have a good weekend. I'll see you guys next week.